Welcome back, and thank you for tuning into Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now let's dive into today's story. The roar of the airplane engines faded into the background as Logan McAllister stepped onto the tarmac. His boots felt heavy against the concrete, but not from exhaustion. He was eager to be home. After 8 months of deployment, the idea of holding his newborn child for the first time filled him with a sense of purpose. His duffel bag hung over his shoulder as he scanned a sea of waiting families. His military instincts picked up everything: the excited chatter, the tearful reunions, the way the sun reflected off the polished brass of an officer's badge. But none of it mattered. He was searching for one face. Then he saw her. Maddie stood near the car, cradling a tiny bundle wrapped in a soft blue blanket. His heart clenched. This was the moment he had dreamed of, coming home to his wife and child. But something felt off. Logan quickened his pace, his pulse accelerating with anticipation. He noticed Maddie's expression shift slightly. It was brief, but there. A flicker of hesitation, a nervous twitch at the corner of her mouth. She was smiling, but her eyes weren't glowing with joy. "Hey, baby," she breathed as he reached them. Logan forced himself to push the unease aside. He kissed her forehead and glanced down at the baby, expecting a rush of overwhelming love. But instead, his mind stilled. His throat tightened as he stared at the infant's tiny features. The child was undeniably beautiful, but something didn't make sense. His own reflection didn't exist in the baby's eyes. His skin, darker than either of theirs, set off alarm bells. A cold sensation crawled up his spine. "Maddie." His voice was hoarse, almost unsure. "He looks different." Maddie's smile didn't falter, but her grip on the baby tightened slightly. "Different how?" she asked, too quickly. Logan studied the baby again, his military-trained mind analyzing every detail. The soft curls, the slightly broader nose, the complexion. He couldn't ignore it. The uneasy feeling that had been gnawing at him since he stepped off the plane grew stronger. "Are you okay, Logan?" Maddie asked, her voice light, but there was something forced about it. He nodded slowly, still staring at the child. But inside, a question burned in his mind, screaming louder than the cheers of the other families around them. Was this really his son? "Wait, I need to tell you something important. Have you ever realized that you keep watching my videos but haven't subscribed yet? This video has reached this point, which means you're enjoying it. So why not subscribe? I have a big goal, 3,000 subscribers, and you can help me reach it. Think about it. If you don't subscribe now, you might miss my next big video. This is the moment. Hit that subscribe button now. Do it now. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss out. I know you'll do it. And when we hit 3,000 subscribers, I have a special surprise for you. Now, let's continue story. The car ride home was filled with forced small talk. Maddie talked about the baby's feeding schedule, about how she barely got sleep, about how excited she was to have Logan back. Logan barely responded. His grip on the steering wheel tightened as he kept glancing at the baby through the rearview mirror. His son. That's what he should be thinking. But the doubt wouldn't let go. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe the baby had inherited some recessive traits. Maybe he was just tired from the long flight. Maybe he was overreacting. But his gut told him otherwise. Maddie's phone buzzed, breaking the silence. She glanced at it quickly and turned its screen down on her lap. Logan noticed. "Who's that?" His voice was casual, but his senses were heightened. "No one." She smiled too quickly. "Just one of the moms from the prenatal class." The lie rolled off her tongue effortlessly. Logan forced himself to stay calm. He had spent years training to handle high-pressure situations, to suppress emotions, to wait before striking. This was no different. The baby stirred in the car's seat, making small sounds, oblivious to the tension brewing in the front seats. Maddie turned her head toward the window, but Logan caught it. The way her fingers curled slightly, the way she swallowed hard, the way she kept blinking. She was hiding something. Logan let out a slow breath. He needed to be smart. If he pushed now, she'd just deny everything. So instead, he forced a small chuckle. You're acting weird. He glanced at her, watching for her reaction. You sure you don't have any surprises waiting for me? Maddie laughed, but it was hollow. Of course not. She reached for his hand, squeezing it. I'm just tired. It's been a lot, you know. Logan squeezed back, playing the role of the understanding husband. But inside, his mind was already working, piecing things together. She thought she could fool him. She had no idea what was coming. Logan lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling. Maddie was fast asleep beside him, the baby in a bassinet near the bed. The soft hum of the white noise machine filled the room, but Logan's mind was anything but quiet. The doubt had taken root, and once it did, it spread like wildfire. His instincts had never failed him before. They had kept him alive in war zones, helped him detect threats before they happened. And now, they were screaming at him, something isn't right. Carefully, he turned to his side, watching Maddie's sleeping face. She looked peaceful, like she hadn't shattered his world just hours ago. Logan inhaled deeply, forcing himself to stay calm. He had two choices: confront her now and risk her shutting down completely, or wait and gather proof. Proof. His eyes flicked toward the baby. Slowly, he sat up and moved toward the bassinet. The baby's tiny hands twitched in sleep, his lips parted slightly. Logan stared at the delicate features, searching for himself in the child. Nothing. He clenched his jaw. He wasn't a fool, and he wasn't about to let his emotions blind him. Logan reached out, gently brushing his fingers through the baby's soft curls. Then, with practiced precision, he plucked a single hair. Maddie shifted in bed. He froze. When she didn't wake, he slipped the strand into a plastic bag and tucked it into his wallet. His heart pounded. This wasn't paranoia. This was survival. Tomorrow, he would get the DNA test, and then he would know the truth. Logan's fingers clenched around the steering wheel as he drove through the quiet streets of town. The world outside looked the same: familiar buildings, familiar roads, the same morning rush, but inside, his world was unrecognizable. He was heading to the one place that could confirm the truth. A DNA testing lab. He had called ahead, making sure they had same-day results available for emergencies. He hadn't explained his situation. He didn't need to. As he parked, he exhaled slowly. His pulse was steady, but beneath the surface, something dark coiled in his chest. A quiet fury, waiting. The lab was small, clinical, the kind of place where people sought the truth, whether they were ready for it or not. The receptionist barely looked up when he entered. "Do you have an appointment?" "Yes." His voice was firm. She typed into the computer. "Logan McAllister?" He nodded, passing her the small plastic bag containing the baby's hair. The woman took it without question. "The results will be ready in a few hours. Do you want them emailed, or I'll pick them up?" She glanced at him then, eyes flicking over his face as if sensing the weight of this moment. "All right. We'll call you." Logan turned on his heel and left without another word. Back in the car, he sat for a long moment, gripping the wheel. He had spent years in war zones, faced death head-on, seen things most men could never imagine. But now, sitting in the parking lot of a lab, waiting for a single piece of paper, he felt more fear than he ever had on the battlefield. Because this wasn't just about survival. This was about betrayal. His phone buzzed, pulling him out of his thoughts. Nathan, his best friend. Logan answered. "Yeah." There was a pause, then Nathan's voice came through, quieter than usual. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Logan's jaw tightened. Nathan had always been blunt, never one to sugarcoat things. He knew Logan was running the test. Logan exhaled through his nose. "I need to know." Nathan hesitated. "You already do." Logan said nothing. Because deep down, Nathan was right. He already knew. But now, he needed proof. Logan spent the next few hours keeping himself busy, running errands, hitting the gym, doing anything to keep his mind from spiraling. But nothing helped. His hands tightened into fists as he pushed through his last set of pull-ups. His arms burned, his breath came sharp, but the rage inside him wouldn't die down. Then his phone rang. He froze, sweat dripping down his forehead. He knew before even looking at the screen. The lab. The moment of truth. He grabbed a towel, wiped his face, and walked outside before answering. "This is Logan." The woman on the other end of the line spoke, but the words barely registered. 0% match. His head dropped forward, a bitter laugh escaping his throat. He had known. He had known. But hearing it confirmed, knowing for sure that the baby wasn't his, it still felt like someone had gutted him. He had been fighting wars overseas, trusting that his wife was waiting for him, that his child was waiting for him. And the whole time, she had been lying. "Mr. McAllister?" the woman on the phone said cautiously. He realized he hadn't responded. "Got it," he said, voice flat. "Would you like a printed copy?" "Yes." He ended the call and stared at the sky. Everything had changed. But Maddie didn't know that yet. And when he walked through that front door tonight, she would. Logan didn't go home right away. He needed more than just proof. He needed every detail. Sitting in his truck outside a coffee shop, he pulled out his phone and scrolled through Maddie's call history. He had memorized the number that had popped up too often, too consistently. And now he had a name. Brandon Carter. Logan's grip tightened around the phone. Brandon, his old friend. A man who had once sat in his home, eaten dinner with his wife, laughed at his jokes. A man he had trusted. His mind raced back to all the times Brandon had been around Maddie, the way they had interacted. The late-night texts Maddie had brushed off as just catching up. The times Brandon had stopped by to check in on her, while Logan was deployed. He should have seen it. A slow, cold rage settled in his chest. This wasn't just about the affair anymore. This was about betrayal on every level. His phone buzzed. A text from Maddie. "Maddie, hey baby. What time will you be home? I miss you." Logan's stomach turned at the words. The woman who had just destroyed everything he believed in was still pretending nothing had happened. He could already picture her waiting at home, smiling, acting like everything was fine. Like she wasn't lying through her teeth. Logan inhaled deeply. He wasn't going to confront her yet. No, that would be too easy. She needed to feel what he felt. She needed to watch her world crumble piece by piece. And when she finally realized what was happening, when she finally understood that she had lost everything, it would already be too late. Logan sat in his truck outside their house, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. The world outside was still, just another quiet suburban evening. Porch lights flickered on, kids rode their bikes down the street, couples walked their dogs. But inside his chest, a storm raged. He had the DNA results folded in his pocket. Proof that the child he had been waiting to hold, the child he thought was his, belonged to another man. Brandon, his so-called friend. The thought made him physically sick. His stomach twisted, his breathing slowed, and his mind replayed every moment, every single instance he had trusted them. He had risked his life overseas, thinking Maddie was home, loyal, waiting for him. He had sent money, planned a future, imagined coming home to a family. But it had all been a lie. Logan exhaled sharply and stepped out of the truck. His boots hit the pavement with a controlled weight, calm on the outside, but inside, he was ready for war. He entered the house, the scent of lavender candles and home-cooked food hitting him immediately. Maddie had set the table, the baby monitor resting on the counter. "You're home." Maddie's voice was too sweet, too rehearsed. She walked over and wrapped her arms around him, pressing a kiss to his cheek. Logan didn't move. Her touch burned. His muscles locked up, his entire body screaming at him to pull away. But he didn't. Not yet. "Yeah," he said finally, his voice flat. "I'm home." She pulled back, tilting her head. "You okay? You seem quiet." Logan forced himself to meet her eyes. "Just tired." She smiled, relaxing. "I made your favorite, steak and mashed potatoes." She was playing house like nothing had happened. Like she wasn't the woman who had destroyed his life. Logan nodded, his expression unreadable. "Sounds great." But in his pocket, his fingers curled around the DNA results. Tonight, he wasn't going to confront her. Tonight, he was going to let her think she had one. Because when he finally struck, she would never see it coming. Dinner was torture. Maddie sat across from him, laughing, telling stories, acting like the devoted wife she had never been. She kept reaching for his hand, watching him carefully, waiting for his usual warmth. But Logan barely touched his food. His jaw clenched with every word she spoke, every fake giggle, every loving glance she threw his way. His mind screamed at him, "She doesn't love you. She never did." "So, tell me about your day," Maddie said, cutting into her steak. Logan took a slow sip of water, his movements deliberate. He had spent the day gathering more than just DNA results. He had hacked into their shared cloud storage. Hundreds of messages, pictures, videos. Brandon and Maddie, some of them dating back to before she had even told him she was pregnant. He had been nothing more than a backup plan. The glass in his hand nearly cracked from the force of his grip. "Logan." Maddie's voice pulled him back. He blinked. "Huh." She smiled. "I asked how your day was." He forced himself to shrug. "Same old. Just settling back in." Her eyes searched his face for something: guilt? Suspicion? Did she sense that he knew? No. She was still too comfortable, too confident. Good. Because the deeper she sunk into her lies, the harder she would crash when he ripped them apart. That night, Logan lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his heartbeat slow and steady. The DNA results sat on the nightstand. The weight of them was suffocating. Beside him, Maddie slept soundly. No guilt, no fear, no sign that her world was about to shatter. Logan's mind churned with calculations, strategies, and execution. He wasn't just going to expose her. He was going to dismantle her life piece by piece. But first, he needed to be sure about Brandon. So, Logan waited until Maddie was in deep sleep, then slipped out of bed. Moving silently, he grabbed her phone from the nightstand. Locked. No problem. He had watched her enter the code 100 times. With practiced precision, he unlocked the device and pulled up her messages. And there it was. Brandon Carter. The name alone made his fists tighten. He scrolled. Their conversations were disgustingly affectionate, full of secrets and longing. "Maddie, I miss you. I can't wait for him to leave again." "Brandon, soon, baby. Just play the role until then." Play the role. Logan's vision darkened. She had never been sorry. She had never loved him. She had just been waiting for the right time to leave. Too bad she never saw this coming. Logan deleted his traces, set the phone back down, and climbed into bed. He stared at the ceiling, listening to Maddie's peaceful breathing. She was sleeping next to a man who wasn't her husband anymore. She just didn't know it yet. Logan was no longer acting out of rage. That was too easy, too impulsive. He had done enough missions to know that revenge wasn't about striking fast. It was about striking smart. And Maddie had no idea that he had just set the first trap. The next morning, as she hummed in the kitchen, making coffee like a loyal, loving wife, Logan sat at the table, phone in hand. He had sent Brandon a message. Not from his phone, but from Maddie's. The message was simple. "We need to talk. Meet me at the motel on 7th Avenue tonight. Logan's acting weird. I think he knows something." Then he deleted it. And now he waited. Maddie turned, sipping her coffee. "You're up early." Logan forced a small smile. "Yeah, got some things to take care of today." She walked over, running a hand through his hair. "Maybe we could do something later? Just the two of us." She was still playing her part. "Yeah," he lied, pressing a soft kiss to her hand. "Maybe." Inside, he was already counting down the hours. Tonight, Brandon would show up at that motel, and Logan would be waiting. The neon vacancy sign flickered outside the rundown motel, casting a dull glow over the empty parking lot. Logan sat in his truck, parked a safe distance away, watching. It didn't take long. Brandon's car pulled in. Logan clenched his jaw as his old friend stepped out, looking around cautiously. He was nervous. Good. Logan let him sweat for a moment, watching from the shadows. Then, with slow, deliberate movements, he opened his door and stepped out. Brandon barely had time to react before Logan was in front of him, towering over him like a predator sizing up his prey. Brandon stiffened. "Logan." Logan tilted his head slightly, expecting someone else. The color drained from Brandon's face. He took half a step back, but Logan didn't move. He didn't have to. Brandon swallowed. "Look, man, shut up." Brandon shut up. Logan pulled out his phone, clicking on a recording. Maddie's voice filled the night air. I miss you. I can't wait for him to leave again. Soon, baby. Just play the role until then. Brandon's face twisted. What is this? Logan took a step closer, his voice low and even. This is the moment you realize your life is over. Brandon had no words, no excuses, no way out. And Logan wasn't interested in hearing him beg. Instead, he smiled. You see, Brandon, I could have handled this privately, he said, pacing slowly, keeping his voice casual. I could have gone straight to Maddie, flipped the table, screamed, made a scene. That's what most men would do, right? Brandon's throat bobbed. Logan, but I'm not most men. Logan's voice dropped to a near whisper, his presence suffocating. Brandon took another step back, but Logan stepped forward, closing the space between them again. You took something from me, Brandon. Logan's voice was calm, but his eyes were ice. So I'm going to take something from you. Brandon swallowed hard. What do you mean? Logan pulled out his phone and turned the screen toward him. It was a live stream. Right now, thousands of people were watching. Maddie's texts, the DNA results, their affair exposed for the world to see. Brandon's face drained of color. What the hell is this? Logan smiled. This. He gestured to the screen. This is your life crumbling in time. The chat was going wild. Damn, she played him dirty. Bro, this is crazy. Where are y'all watching from? I'm in Houston, Texas. This is better than Netflix. NYC here. This is wild. Los Angeles checking in. Bro, this is next level revenge. Logan smirked, staring straight into the camera. Where are you guys watching from? Drop your city in the chat. I want to know how far this betrayal is reaching. The comments exploded with people spamming their locations. Miami, Florida. Chicago, Seattle, Washington. Dallas, Texas. Atlanta, Georgia. Brandon's hands shook as he looked at the screen. Logan, stop this. We can talk. No, Brandon. Logan's voice turned razor sharp. Now, the whole world gets to talk. Brandon's career, reputation, and life destroyed in minutes. And Logan? This was just the beginning. Maddie was in the kitchen when Logan walked through the door, the scent of fresh coffee filling the air. She turned, flashing him a warm smile, as if nothing had changed. As if she wasn't living on borrowed time. You're home early, she said sweetly, stepping forward. Logan studied her carefully. She was too comfortable, too unaware of the chaos unraveling around her. Yeah, he said, his voice neutral. Had a few things to take care of. Maddie moved closer, pressing a hand to his chest. I was thinking maybe we could go out tonight. Just us. I know things have been a little off, but I want to make it up to you. Make it up to me? Logan almost laughed. She still thought she had control. Still thought she could play the role and convince him that things were fine. She had no idea her world was already burning. Logan pulled out his phone and tapped a few buttons. Maddie's phone, sitting on the counter, buzzed. She frowned and reached for it. Then her expression froze. Transaction declined. She tried again. Declined. Her head snapped up. Logan. His face was blank. Problem. She looked back at her screen, confusion twisting into panic. I think there's something wrong with my account. No, Logan said smoothly, crossing his arms. Nothing's wrong. Your name just isn't on it anymore. Her breath hitched. What? Logan leaned against the counter, watching her like a predator enjoying the moment before the kill. All the cards? The accounts? The credit line? They're mine. And now? He smiled coldly. You have nothing. Maddie visibly paled. You're joking, she whispered. Logan tilted his head. Try another purchase. Go ahead. She fumbled, trying to make another transaction. Declined. Her chest rose and fell sharply as reality slammed into her. You can't do this, she stammered. Logan raised an eyebrow. Can't I? Maddie's eyes darted around the room as if searching for an escape. Logan, please. This isn't funny. Oh, I'm not laughing, he said smoothly. But you know what is funny? The way you spent my money while cheating behind my back. That's hilarious. Tears filled her eyes. It's not what you think. Logan stepped forward, voice deadly quiet. I know exactly what it is, Maddie. Her lip trembled as she clutched her useless phone. So what now? You just leave me with nothing. Logan leaned in, his breath ghosting over her ear. You're lucky I let you keep the roof over your head. For now. And with that, he turned and walked away. Maddie collapsed against the counter, her hands shaking. She had lost her safety net. And this was just the beginning. The next morning, Logan sat at the kitchen table, sipping his coffee while watching the world burn. Maddie's affair had officially gone viral. News articles were popping up. Screenshots from the live stream were being shared. People were tearing her apart in comment sections. Military man gets betrayed by wife while deployed. Justice served. Homewrecker exposed live. The texts, the DNA test, the affair, everything was out in the open now. And Maddie? She was hiding upstairs, her phone blowing up with messages. Logan could hear her muffled voice from behind the bedroom door. She was begging someone to listen, to believe her. But it was too late. The world had already chosen its side. And for the first time in her life, Maddie was the villain. By noon, Maddie finally emerged from the bedroom, her face pale, her hands trembling. Logan was waiting in the living room, arms crossed. You ruined my life, she whispered. Logan scoffed. I ruined your life. He stood up, taking slow steps toward her. Maddie, you burned it to the ground yourself. I just made sure people saw the flames. She swallowed hard. My friends won't talk to me. My job. Logan smirked. Let me guess. Your boss saw the messages? Realized what kind of person you are? Maddie's eyes filled with fresh tears. Please. I know. She flinched at the sharpness in his tone. You don't get to beg, Logan continued. You don't get to cry. You did this. Now live with it. She stared at him, her expression shifting from panic to something darker. You think this is over? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Logan stilled. Excuse me. You think I'm just gonna sit back and let you destroy me? Logan studied her, his heart rate steady. That sounds like a threat. Her lips curled into a weak smirk. I don't need to threaten you, Logan. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a venomous whisper. You're not as invincible as you think. Logan's eyes narrowed. For the first time since this all started, Maddie wasn't playing the victim. She was fighting back, and Logan welcomed the challenge. Maddie's words hung in the air, dripping with venom. You're not as invincible as you think. Logan stared at her, expression unreadable, but inside, his mind sharpened like a blade. She was trying to fight back. Good. That meant she still had something to lose. You really think you can turn this around? Logan asked, tilting his head slightly, his voice too calm. Maddie swallowed, the bravado in her eyes flickering, but she forced a smirk. You think you're the only one who can ruin lives, Logan? You forget. I know things about you. I know where to hit. Logan chuckled. Oh, Maddie. See, that's the problem with you. You think you still have power here. She folded her arms. I know exactly where to hit you where it hurts. Logan stepped closer, his presence suffocating. You don't have a single card left to play. Maddie's jaw clenched, her confidence wavering. You don't know that. Actually, Logan said smoothly, I do. He pulled out his phone and turned the screen toward her. Maddie's breath hitched. It was a legal document, one she hadn't seen yet. Her name had been completely removed from their joint assets. Her credit? Frozen. Her access to the house? Revoked. She had nothing. Maddie's smirk vanished, replaced by something raw. Logan, please. But Logan wasn't listening. Now, you have two choices, he said, his voice low. You can leave quietly, or you can make this worse for yourself. Your call. For the first time, Maddie looked truly afraid. And Logan? He had just won round one. While Maddie spiraled, Brandon was experiencing his own personal nightmare. Logan had made sure of it. Sitting in his truck, Logan scrolled through the messages flooding social media. Brandon had been fired. His wife had kicked him out. His reputation was ruined beyond repair. And now, Logan was about to deliver the final blow. He dialed a number and waited. After a few rings, a familiar voice picked up. Who is this? Logan smiled. What's wrong, Brandon? Not having a good week. There was a pause. Then, Brandon's voice came through, raw and panicked. Logan, listen, man. We need to talk. Logan leaned back in his seat, enjoying the desperation in Brandon's tone. Oh, you suddenly want to talk? You didn't want to talk when you were screwing my wife. Brandon let out a shaky breath. I made a mistake, okay? I didn't mean for it to happen like this. Logan scoffed. That's funny. You sure didn't sound like it was a mistake in all those texts. Play the role until he's gone? That sound like regret to you. Brandon stammered. I was stupid, all right? I'll do anything to fix this. Logan's expression darkened. Oh, you're gonna do something, all right? Brandon hesitated. What do you mean? Logan smirked. Check your email. There was a pause, then a rustling sound as Brandon scrambled to open his laptop. Seconds later, a sharp intake of breath. Logan, what the hell is this? It's called evidence, Logan said smoothly. Every shady deal you made at your old job? Every under-the-table contract? Every single thing you thought nobody knew about? Brandon's voice shook. How did you? Doesn't matter, Logan cut in. What matters is that if I hit send on this email, the feds will be at your door within hours. Brandon went completely silent. Now, Logan continued, I'm a reasonable man, so I'll make you a deal. You disappear. You don't call Maddie. You don't try to fix things. You don't breathe my name again. Brandon's breathing was ragged. And if I don't? Logan smirked. Then I ruin you in ways you never imagined. A long pause. Then, Brandon whispered, you already have. Logan hung up. Brandon was finished. One down. One to go. Maddie was still in the house, but not for long. Logan stood in the living room, watching her pack frantically, throwing clothes into a suitcase with trembling hands. She had finally realized. There was nothing left for her here. You don't have to do this, she tried, her voice shaking. We can fix this. We were happy once, weren't we? Logan's expression didn't change. That was before I found out who you really are. Tears welled in her eyes. Logan, please. I made a mistake. A mistake. Logan scoffed. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is saying something you don't mean in a fight. What you did, that was a choice. Maddie sobbed. I love you, don't. Logan's voice was cold. You don't get to say that. Not anymore. She dropped her head, shoulders shaking. Where do I go? She whispered. Logan watched her for a long moment, then said, Not my problem. Maddie let out a broken breath, zipping up her suitcase. As she dragged it toward the door, she paused, looking back at him one last time. Someday, you're gonna regret this, she said. Logan met her gaze, unflinching. I regret ever loving you. Maddie's breath caught. Then, without another word, she turned and walked out. The door clicked shut, and for the first time in months, Logan felt free. But something told him this wasn't over yet. The house was silent. No more fake apologies. No more whispered lies. No more Maddie. Logan stood in the doorway, watching the empty driveway where her car had just disappeared down the street. The air inside the house felt different, lighter somehow. Like he had exhaled a breath he didn't even know he had been holding. She was gone. And yet, the weight in his chest hadn't fully lifted. Because this wasn't just about getting rid of Maddie. This was about closing the chapter completely. Logan turned, walking slowly back into the house, his boots echoing against the hardwood floor. His eyes scanned the living room, the place they used to sit together, laugh together. The kitchen, where she used to cook him breakfast, pretending she was the perfect wife. Everything about this house was a lie. And now? It was just his. He moved to the table, grabbed the folder of divorce papers that had been sitting there for days. He had delayed signing them, wanting to see the full destruction first. Now, he reached for a pen and signed his name in bold, unshakable ink. Final. Irreversible. Maddie McAllister was nothing to him now. But as he sat there, the quiet creeping in, something gnawed at him. Because he knew Maddie. And she wasn't the type to just disappear. Maddie sat in a cheap motel room, her eyes red from crying, her hands gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. She had nothing left. Logan had taken it all, her money, her home, her reputation. And Brandon? He was gone. She had called him 5 times. No answer. She had texted. Left voicemails. Nothing. He had abandoned her, just like Logan had. Her hand shook as she scrolled through her contacts. She needed a way out. She needed a plan. Then her eyes landed on a familiar name. James Connors. Her boss. Or rather, her former boss. Her heartbeat pounded. She had seen the news. Her affair was everywhere. Her credibility? Destroyed. But James had always wanted her. He had flirted, made little comments, brushed too close when he thought no one was looking. Maybe, just maybe, he could be her way back. With a deep breath, she pressed call. The line rang. Then Maddie. Her voice wobbled just right. Vulnerable. Needing help. James. I didn't know who else to call. A pause. Then, tell me everything. And just like that, Maddie found her next move. Because if Logan thought he had seen the worst of her, he had no idea what was coming. Logan had barely settled into his new normal when the storm hit. It started with a phone call. Nathan. Logan answered, still half asleep. What's up? You might want to sit down for this, Nathan said. Logan frowned. What now? A heavy pause. Then, Maddie just filed a harassment complaint against you. Logan stilled. His grip on the phone tightened. What the hell are you talking about? Nathan sighed. She's claiming you made threats against her. Says she left the house because she was afraid for her safety. She filed it this morning. Logan's blood turned ice cold. Of course, Maddie wouldn't go down quietly. She was setting him up. She wouldn't dare, Logan muttered. She already did, Nathan said. And if this goes further, it could ruin you, Logan. Logan exhaled, running a hand over his face. He wasn't stupid. He knew how this worked. In situations like this, the man was always guilty until proven innocent. And Maddie? She knew that too. His mind sharpened instantly. She wanted to play dirty? Fine. Two could play that game. Logan wasn't just going to defend himself. He was going to make sure this was the last move Maddie ever made. Logan sat in his truck, gripping the wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. He stared at his phone, reading the legal notice Nathan had forwarded to him. Harassment complaint. Logan McAllister is an emotionally unstable man with a history of aggression. I feared for my safety, which is why I had to leave. His jaw tightened. Maddie was good, twisting the truth just enough to sound believable. She wasn't just trying to ruin his reputation. She was trying to destroy him completely. Nathan's voice came through the phone speaker. Look, I know you're pissed. But you can't go near her, Logan. She wants you to react. She wants you to lose your temper. Logan let out a slow breath, forcing himself to stay in control. I don't need to go near her, Nate. Nathan paused. What are you thinking? Logan's eyes darkened. I'm thinking it's time Maddie gets a real taste of fear. Maddie sat in her motel room, waiting. She had just thrown the biggest grenade at Logan, and now, all she had to do was sit back and watch it explode. But something felt off. She had expected Logan to snap, to show up at her door, shouting, furious. But nothing. No calls. No messages. No reaction at all. A nagging unease settled in her stomach. Logan never ignored a fight. Her phone buzzed. James Connors, I pulled some strings. Let's meet tonight. I might be able to help you. Maddie's lips curled into a smirk. James was exactly the type of man she could manipulate. If she played her cards right, she could get money, maybe even her job back. All she had to do was act desperate. She grabbed her purse and left, thinking she was about to rebuild her life. She had no idea Logan was already 10 steps ahead of her. Logan parked a few blocks away from the restaurant Maddie was meeting James at. Nathan sat beside him, watching him carefully. You sure about this? Logan's expression was unreadable. She started this. I'm just making sure she finishes it. Nathan exhaled. All right. What's the play? Logan held up his phone, showing live security footage of the restaurant. We let Maddie do what she does best, dig her own grave. Nathan smirked. You set up a camera? Logan nodded. Not just a camera. I made sure James was mic'd up. She's gonna walk right into her own confession. Nathan let out a low whistle. Damn. That's cold. Logan's eyes stayed locked on the screen. This isn't revenge anymore, Nate. This is war. Inside the restaurant, Maddie sat across from James, playing the part of the broken woman. She sniffled, dabbing at imaginary tears. I just don't know what to do. Logan ruined my life, and now he won't leave me alone. James leaned closer, eating up every word. I can help you, Maddie, but I need to know exactly what's going on. Maddie hesitated. She had to be careful. If she admitted too much, it could backfire. But James looked so willing, so eager to save her. And Maddie knew exactly how to reel men in. She let out a shaky breath. The harassment claim, it's not exactly true. But I needed something to get him off my back. James nodded, encouraging her. I get it. You had to protect yourself. Maddie exhaled dramatically. Exactly. And if the courts believe it, I can take legal action against him. He'll lose everything. She leaned in, voice lowering to a whisper. I just need him to suffer first. James chuckled. And I might be able to make that happen. Click. Every word captured. Back in the truck, Logan watched the live feed, his smirk growing. Checkmate. Logan sat in his truck, watching the live footage, his face unreadable. Every single word Maddie had just said was recorded. The harassment claim, it's not exactly true. But I needed something to get him off my back. If the courts believe it, I can take legal action against him. He'll lose everything. I just need him to suffer first. Her voice, clear as day, was now evidence. Nathan let out a low whistle from the passenger seat. Damn. That's it. She's done. Logan didn't react. He just watched Maddie, so confident, so smug, as she leaned toward James, working him like she had worked Logan for years. Nathan glanced at him. You're quiet. This is what you wanted, right? Logan inhaled slowly. Not yet. Nathan frowned. What do you mean? Logan's eyes darkened. She still thinks she has control. I want her to feel it slipping away. To watch her world fall apart piece by piece. If I play this card now, she'll just try to spin it. Nathan shook his head in disbelief. You're a ruthless bastard, you know that? Logan smirked. You just figuring that out? Nathan chuckled, but Logan's focus never wavered. He wasn't just going to end this. He was going to make Maddie destroy herself. Maddie strutted into her motel room, feeling victorious. James was hooked. Her plan was working. All she had to do now was wait for Logan to crumble under the pressure. She threw her purse onto the bed and grabbed her phone, scrolling through notifications. Messages, calls, missed voicemails. People were talking. She clicked on a message from an old friend. Lisa. Maddie, what the hell did you do? Her stomach twisted. What was Lisa talking about? Then another text. Brandon, don't ever call me again. I just lost everything because of you. Maddie's breath hitched. What was happening? Then, her phone buzzed again. A link. She clicked it. Her own voice filled the room. I just need him to suffer first. Maddie's blood ran cold. She clutched the phone, her pulse hammering, her breath coming too fast. This was impossible. How? How? Then it hit her. Logan. He had set her up. She dropped onto the bed, her heart pounding in her ears. Everything was coming undone. Everything. Logan stood in his living room, phone in hand, watching the fallout in real time. Maddie was trending. The audio had gone viral. News sites had picked it up. Social media was ripping her apart. She lied about harassment? This is next-level evil. Military husband was about to lose everything because of her. She deserves everything coming her way. Logan watched it all unfold with calm precision. Nathan paced behind him. You sure this is enough? She's getting destroyed out there, but she still has a place to stay. She still thinks she can recover. Logan smirked. That's why we're not done yet. Nathan raised an eyebrow. What's left? Logan exhaled, tilting his head. Time to make sure she has nothing left to come back to. Maddie thought she had reached rock bottom. She had no idea how much further she had to fall. Maddie's hand shook as she scrolled through the messages flooding her phone. The betrayal had flipped. She was now the villain. Her boss, James? He stopped replying. Her friends? They weren't answering her calls. Brandon? Gone. Everything she thought she had left was slipping through her fingers like sand. Her stomach twisted with panic as she pulled up Logan's number. She hesitated. What could she even say? But she had one last card to play. She clicked call. The line rang. And then Logan picked up. Silence. Then his voice, calm, controlled, lethal. You're not calling to apologize, are you? Maddie's breath was uneven. Logan, we need to talk. Talk? Logan chuckled, but there was no humor in it. That's rich, coming from the woman who tried to ruin my life. She swallowed hard. I didn't think it would go this far. I didn't mean for, don't. Logan's voice cut through her excuses like a knife. You meant for exactly this to happen. You just never expected to lose. Maddie clenched her fists. Logan, please. We can fix this. Logan let out a low breath. You really don't get it, do you? Silence. Then, Logan's voice dropped to a near whisper. You lost me the second you betrayed me. But now? You're about to lose a lot more. The line went dead. Maddie's stomach dropped. She had just made a fatal mistake. Logan sat in his truck, staring at the house that had once been his home. It wasn't just a building. It was a symbol of everything Maddie had destroyed. But today, it would no longer be hers. He stepped out, moving with purpose. Every step was controlled, measured, final. When he walked inside, Maddie was already there, waiting. Her eyes were red, her body tense. Logan, I swear, he tossed a folder onto the counter. She frowned, hesitating before picking it up. Her hands trembled as she read the words. Eviction notice. Maddie's breath hitched. No, you can't do this. Logan's stare was stone cold. I already did. Her pulse pounded. Logan, please. I have nowhere else to go. You had a home, Logan said, voice sharp. You had everything. And you threw it away for a man who doesn't even want you anymore. Tears spilled down her face. Where am I supposed to go? Logan tilted his head. Not my problem. Maddie's lip trembled. You don't even care anymore, do you? Logan's stare never wavered. No, I don't. And for the first time, Maddie realized she had lost everything. Maddie sat on the front porch, bags packed beside her. She had nowhere to go. No money. No allies. No future. Logan stepped outside, standing over her. This was the moment she had never seen coming. She looked up at him, eyes filled with desperation. I loved you, she whispered. Logan's expression didn't change. No, you loved what I gave you. And now, you have nothing. A tear slipped down her cheek. You'll regret this someday. Logan exhaled, staring at her one last time. Then, with absolute finality, he spoke the last words he would ever say to her. I already regret ever loving you. Maddie's breath caught in her throat. And then, Logan turned and walked away, without looking back. The house was silent, but for the first time, Logan felt at peace. No more fake apologies. No more whispered lies. No more Maddie. He stood in the living room, staring at the space where she used to sit, where she used to smile, where she used to pretend to be his wife. Now, she was just a memory, a mistake, a lesson. Nathan walked in, tossing a beer onto the table. So, that's it. She's finally gone. Logan exhaled slowly, sitting down. Yeah. Nathan smirked. And how does it feel? Logan cracked the beer open, taking a slow sip. Then, he looked up. I steady. Like I finally won. Nathan chuckled. You didn't just win, man. You buried her. Logan leaned back, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in months, his chest wasn't heavy anymore. But deep down, he knew. It wasn't just about winning. It was about reclaiming himself. And that was priceless. Logan had just started settling into his new life when the unexpected happened. A familiar name popped up on his phone. Brandon Carter. Logan's brows furrowed. Brandon was done. Ruined. Why was he reaching out now? He let the phone ring out. Declined. A few minutes later, a text came through. Brandon, you need to hear me out. This isn't over. Logan's jaw tightened. Not over? Brandon was a coward. He had already lost his job, his reputation, everything. What the hell was he talking about? Then another message. Brandon, Maddie's not done with you yet. Logan's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then his phone rang again. Unknown caller. Logan stared at it for a moment before answering. Who is this? A female voice he didn't recognize came through. "You don't know me, but we need to talk. It's about Maddie. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this." Logan sat in a dimly lit diner, arms crossed as he watched the woman across from him. She was young, mid-20s, dark hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. She looked nervous. "Start talking," Logan said, voice cold. She swallowed hard. "My name's Emma Calloway. I used to work with Maddie." Logan's eyes narrowed. "And?" Emma hesitated, then pulled out her phone. "She's been planning something, Logan." She slid the phone across the table. "You think you ended her, but she's been making moves behind the scenes." Logan picked up the phone and scrolled. His blood ran cold. Court documents. Filed under Maddie's name. A restraining order request. Against him. A false police report. A claim that Logan had been stalking her, threatening her. Logan clenched his jaw. She was trying to destroy him legally. Emma leaned forward. "She's not just going after you. She's trying to turn this into something bigger, public, messy. She wants to ruin your entire name." Logan's fingers curled around the phone. He had thought he had won. But Maddie? She was playing one last, desperate game. And now? It was time to end her for good. Logan sat back in the diner booth, staring at the screen in front of him. His heartbeat was steady, his expression unreadable. But inside, he was burning. Maddie had played every dirty trick she could think of: cheating, lying, trying to ruin him socially and financially. But this? Filing a false restraining order. A fake police report. Turning herself into the victim. She wanted to destroy his name forever. Emma shifted uncomfortably across from him. "I know this is a lot, but I thought you should know before it's too late. She's working with a lawyer who Logan cut her off." "Where is she now?" Emma blinked, startled. I think she's staying with that James guy, her old boss." "She's been—" Logan stood up. "Thanks for the info." Emma hesitated. "Logan, what are you going to do?" He tossed a few bills on the table, eyes dark. "What I should have done a long time ago." Logan drove across town, his grip tight on the steering wheel. Maddie thought she was safe, thought she was untouchable. She had no idea what was coming. By the time he pulled up outside James Connor's gated house, he had already made a few calls. Nathan had the connections. He knew the right people, the kind who didn't like frauds. And now? Maddie's final move was about to backfire. Logan parked down the street, watching the house from a distance. It didn't take long. A sleek black car pulled up to the driveway, two men stepping out. Lawyers. Logan smirked. Right on time. He grabbed his phone and sent a text. "Logan, you should open the door, Maddie. I arranged a little surprise for you." Seconds later, the front door cracked open. Maddie stepped out, wearing her usual act. Wide, innocent eyes, messy hair, looking like the poor, mistreated woman she wanted people to believe she was. But then she saw the men in suits. Her face drained of color. And Logan? He just watched. Maddie's mind raced. What the hell was happening? She had been prepared for a fight, had planned to drag Logan through a messy legal battle, play the victim until she won. But now two lawyers stood in front of her, expressionless. "Ms. McAllister," one of them said, flipping through a folder. "We've been informed of a fraudulent police report filed under your name. We're here to discuss the legal consequences of fabricating evidence against Mr. McAllister." Maddie froze. "What?" She breathed, her stomach twisting. James stepped onto the porch behind her, frowning. "What's going on?" One of the lawyers barely glanced at him. "Are you aware that Ms. McAllister attempted to falsely accuse her ex-husband of criminal behavior? That's considered perjury, defamation, and could result in a significant lawsuit." James' eyes narrowed. He turned to Maddie. "You told me Logan was dangerous, that he was stalking you." Maddie's throat dried up. Her phone buzzed. A notification. A new email. She clicked it with shaking hands. Subject: legal notice. Defamation and false accusations. The email outlined everything: Logan's lawsuit against her, the proof of her lies, the potential criminal charges she was now facing. Maddie's vision blurred. Her world tilted. James stepped away from her, realization sinking in. "You used me," he muttered. "You lied about all of this. Maddie shook her head. No, it's not like that. James, you have to believe me, but he was already walking inside, slamming the door behind him. The lawyers watched her in silence. She felt her chest tighten. This couldn't be happening. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. But then, her phone buzzed again. A text. From Logan. Logan. Checkmate. And for the first time, Maddie knew. She had lost. Completely. Maddie's hands trembled as she stared at the email, her vision blurring with panic. This wasn't happening. It couldn't be happening. She had played every card, every trick. She had twisted the story, made herself the victim. But now? Now she was the one being hunted. The two lawyers didn't move. They just stood there, waiting, their faces unreadable. Ms. McAllister, one of them said, voice cool and professional, will be in touch regarding the legal proceedings. I suggest you secure legal counsel immediately. Maddie tried to swallow, but her throat was dry. Wait, there has to be a mistake. The man didn't blink. There is no mistake. James was still standing inside the house, watching her with disgust. You told me he was dangerous, he muttered. You made me help you. And now I find out you were the one lying the entire time. James, please, Maddie whispered. I can explain. No, Maddie, he said, stepping back inside. You can't. And then the door shut in her face. A lump formed in her throat. She turned back to the lawyers, panic taking full control now. You can't do this, she gasped. Logan, he's setting me up. I was scared. We have all the evidence, the lawyer said calmly, pulling out a folder. Your voice recordings. The false police reports. Text messages you sent, admitting to your deception. Maddie's stomach plummeted. No, this wasn't real. This was a nightmare. Logan had outplayed her. And there was nothing left to do but watch her world crumble. The lawyers exchanged one last glance, then turned and walked toward their car. Maddie stood frozen in the driveway, her pulse hammering. She had lost everything. And now? Now, she might lose even more. Logan sat on his porch, a beer in hand, staring out at the street. He didn't need to be there to know what was happening. Maddie's world had just collapsed in real time. She had been playing chess, thinking she could trap him, thinking she could win. But she had never realized Logan had been 10 moves ahead from the start. Nathan stepped onto the porch, dropping into the chair beside him. Well, that was satisfying. Logan exhaled, rolling his shoulders. Yeah, Nathan studied him. So, is this it? You're finally done. Logan took a slow sip of beer, considering the question. Maddie had been publicly destroyed. Her finances? Gone. Her reputation? Ruined. Her legal status? Shaky at best. There was nothing left of the woman she used to be. And Logan? He finally felt free. He leaned back in his chair, letting out a slow breath. Yeah, he said finally. I'm done. Nathan grinned. Good. 'Cause honestly, man, you dragged that out like a damn action movie. Logan chuckled. He had won. Completely. And now? For the first time in a long time, he could finally move forward. Logan had closed the chapter on Maddie, but there was one loose end left. Brandon Carter. The man who had smiled in his face, drank beers with him, called him a brother, while sneaking around with his wife. Logan had let him sink quietly, watching him lose his job, his reputation, his home. But Brandon had one last mistake to make, and Logan was waiting for it. Sitting in his truck outside a rundown bar, Logan watched through the windshield as Brandon stumbled out the front doors, drunk and desperate. He was alone. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair disheveled, a man who had lost everything. Perfect. Logan stepped out of his truck, his boots crunching against the gravel. Brandon's head snapped up at the sound. His eyes widened, panic flashing across his face. Logan? Logan didn't respond at first. He just walked, slow, measured, the way a predator approaches its prey. Brandon's breath hitched. What do you want, man? Haven't you done enough? Logan stopped just a few feet away. You tell me, he said, voice calm. Was what you did to me enough? Brandon swallowed hard. I made a mistake. I didn't mean to, Logan scoffed. Spare me the speech. I'm not here to hear you beg. Brandon shifted uneasily. Then why are you here? Logan pulled out his phone and turned the screen toward him. A news article. Former defense contractor under investigation for fraud. Brandon's face drained of color. What the hell? Logan's smirk was cold. Turns out, when you dig deep enough, people have all kinds of skeletons. Brandon staggered back. No. No. You didn't. Logan stepped closer, lowering his voice. You took my wife. You took my trust. I took your career. Your life. And now. He leaned in, voice like steel. Now. You disappear. Brandon didn't move, didn't speak. Because for the first time, he realized. Logan McAllister wasn't just here for revenge. He was here to erase him. And there was nothing Brandon could do to stop it. Maddie sat in a dingy hotel room, her knees pulled to her chest. She had nothing left. No money. No home. No friends. And now, a potential lawsuit hanging over her head. Her phone was silent. No calls. No messages. Brandon was gone. James had kicked her out. She was alone. But Maddie? She wasn't the type to accept defeat. Her mind raced, desperate for a way out. Then an idea struck. Her fingers trembled as she pulled out her laptop and typed a single name into the search bar. Logan McAllister. She scrolled past the news articles, past the comments tearing her apart, past the outrage. She was looking for something specific. A weakness. A way back in. And then she found it. An old military file. An incident from Logan's past that had been buried. Her lips curled into a desperate smirk. Gotcha, she whispered. If she couldn't beat Logan outright, she'd drag him down with her. Logan was just finishing up at the gym when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something told him to answer. Yeah, he said, pressing the phone to his ear. A familiar voice came through. You thought I was done? Logan froze. Maddie. His grip on the phone tightened. What the hell do you want? Her laugh was soft, bitter. You really think you can just erase me? That I just disappear? Logan exhaled through his nose. You have nothing left, Maddie. It's over. A pause. Then, her voice dropped to a whisper. You sure about that? Something about her tone set him on edge. Then a ping. A message. Logan pulled his phone away from his ear and clicked on the attachment. A military document. His stomach dropped. It was from his past. Something he thought was long buried. Something that, if twisted the right way, could ruin him. His blood ran ice cold. Maddie's voice returned, low and smug. You took everything from me, she murmured. Now, let's see what happens when I return the favor. The line went dead. Logan stared at the screen, heart pounding. Maddie wasn't done. Not yet. And now? The war had just started all over again. Logan stood frozen, the document glowing on his phone screen. His past. His buried past. Maddie had somehow dug up one of the only things that could still hurt him. His grip on the phone tightened as he reread the words. It wasn't something criminal, but it was something that, if spun the wrong way, could paint him in a bad light. And Maddie? She was a master at twisting the truth. His jaw clenched. She wanted a final fight? Fine. Logan turned, grabbing his keys, his pulse steady, but his mind razor-sharp. Nathan was waiting for him in the truck, scrolling through his phone. He looked up. You look like you just saw a ghost. Logan slid into the driver's seat, exhaling slowly. Not a ghost. Just a roach that won't die. Nathan frowned. Maddie. Logan nodded, passing him the phone. Nathan's brows furrowed as he skimmed the document. Shit. Yeah. Nathan let out a low whistle. All right. So what's the move? You know she's going to try to leak this, right? Logan smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. She can try. Nathan leaned back, studying him. You've already got something planned, don't you? Logan started the engine, his voice calm. Controlled. Deadly. Maddie thinks she's playing chess. He pulled onto the road. She doesn't realize she's walking into Checkmate. Maddie sat in a dingy internet cafe, her fingers flying over the keyboard. She had spent the last few hours crafting the perfect email, an anonymous tip sent to every news outlet, every blog, every journalist that thrived on scandal. The subject line was simple: ex-military officer exposed, the truth about Logan McAllister. She read it over once more, a twisted satisfaction curling inside her. Logan thought he had won, thought he had destroyed her, but she still had one bullet left in the chamber, and she was about to pull the trigger. With one final deep breath, she clicked send. It was done. Now, all she had to do was wait. Wait for the news to spread. Wait for Logan to finally understand what it felt like to be completely ruined. She leaned back, exhaling. Your turn, Logan. She thought she had checkmate. She didn't realize she had just walked into his trap. The news hit fast. Maddie's leak spread like wildfire, forums, social media, even a few news sites picking it up. But Logan? He wasn't worried, because he had been waiting for this. Nathan sat beside him, scrolling through his phone. Damn, man. She really thought this was going to work? Logan smirked. She bet everything on this move. He held up his own phone, showing his response that had just gone live. A video. A full, unfiltered truth bomb. Not a defense. Not an excuse. Just pure, brutal honesty. Logan stared into the camera, his voice steady. My name is Logan McAllister, and this is the truth. Then he laid everything out. The real story behind the military document. How Maddie had cheated, manipulated, and tried to destroy him. The recordings, the messages, the proof of her lies. Logan wasn't defending himself. He was burying her. Nathan chuckled as the video's comment section exploded. Holy shit, he flipped this on her. Underscore, Maddie really thought she could take him down. LMAO. Underscore, nah, this guy is a strategist. He let her make the move, then boom. She's done. It's over for her. Nathan leaned back. Damn, that's cold. Logan's smirk grew. No, Nathan, that's justice. And Maddie? She had just played herself. Completely. Logan stood outside, watching the sky shift from orange to deep purple. The war was finally over. The battle, the mind games, the lies, all of it was in the past. Maddie was gone. Brandon was erased. Everything they had built on deception had crumbled into nothing. And Logan? He was still standing. Nathan walked up beside him, hands in his pockets. So, this is it. Logan exhaled slowly. Yeah. Nathan smirked. Damn. Gotta say, man, that was one hell of a way to handle betrayal. Logan chuckled, shaking his head. Wasn't about revenge, Nate. It was about taking my life back. Nathan nodded. And now that you have? Logan stared at the horizon, feeling lighter than he had in years. No? Now, he was finally free. No ghosts. No regrets. No looking back. Just a future waiting to be rebuilt. He grabbed his truck keys, tossing them in his hand before heading for the driver's seat. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Where you going? Logan climbed in, smirking. Wherever the hell I want. Nathan laughed. Fair enough. Logan started the engine, the deep rumble filling the air. But before he pulled off, he glanced at Nathan one last time. Let's grab a drink later. First round's on me. Nathan grinned. Damn right it is. With that, Logan hit the gas, pulling onto the open road, leaving his past behind. For good. Let's talk about it. So what do you think? If you've made it this far, you've just been on a crazy, emotional, revenge-packed journey. But now, I want to hear your thoughts. If you were in Logan's shoes, would you have handled it the same way? Or would you have done something completely different? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video. It helps more people find this insane story. Subscribe. More intense stories like this are coming your way. Trust me, you don't want to miss them. Share this with a friend who loves a good revenge story. Your support keeps these stories coming, and I can't wait to see what you guys think about Logan's epic revenge. Hit that like button, drop your comment, and I'll see you in the next story. Until next time, stay smart, stay strong, and never let betrayal break you. The end.